The paper market can't stop or turn back this huge movement, which is also getting a lot of physical support. There is something going on here. If you're one of the 99% of people who don't own gold, you should probably talk to a financial advisor and find out why you haven't done so in the last 25 years. I think that question is still open. Silver News Daily is on the air today. Sign up now if you want to read more. The fuse has been lit, and silver is about to go somewhere no one thought it could go. There is something very strange going on in the silver markets right now that no one can see. A lot of people who invest don't know or care, but there is a huge rush of people buying physical silver in Asia, which is making the paper market fall apart. The COMEX system used to set the prices for most of the world's silver trade, but now it is giving up. And the thing is, I promise you that this is not a test run. Big companies can't hide it anymore. Longer delivery times, smaller inventories, and bigger spreads are all trying to tell you the same thing. This system isn't working right. Silver isn't going to $50 on its own once people see that break and the illusion of control goes away. It's going up very quickly. Experts say that this $500 silver price isn't just a guess. This is what will happen when there is too much demand and a bad pricing system in a market. So, what follows is the main question. If the buying frenzy in Asia is really the last straw, then the biggest transfer of wealth in modern history is about to happen. If you stick around, you'll eventually understand why the COMEX collapse won't happen. I can feel it happening right now. So, do you remember that old-fashioned budget? I don't believe them. We don't think that the old-fashioned way of keeping track of your money works. And look at this. Even though bonds and stocks have had the two biggest bull markets ever, most people still can't retire. So, that normal stuff? But only 20%. A 2% increase would be great. If everyone suddenly thought that way, the price would go up a lot. Remember that this is still the biggest problem for most financial counselors right now. People are still interested in the technology, cryptocurrency, and everything else they do. What if those things just stopped going up? Stop going up and don't worry about falling. For people who think that gold prices will go up a lot, the truth is that money is actually leaving financial assets. Is it really possible for it to happen? Yes. This is what I will say. The markets are way too high, especially for gold. I think there will be a pause or a correction until we see gold at $4,000 and silver at $50. I don't mean 2 seconds after that. I mean a few weeks or days. I don't care about this, but someone who is planning for 2026 might be interested. I'm going to say this again, because I know it's a common feeling. Sales and things like that don't bring in anything. But I will say this. You should keep gold and silver in your emergency fund. That has been the case for a long time. You had a chance that was cheap. Given the current situation and the fact that our office keeps getting portfolios that are all financial assets, it is absolutely necessary, even though it is no longer cheap. If Morgan Stanley, a company that makes money selling financial assets, is openly suggesting a 20% stake in gold, then something is changing in the financial services business. You should leave the company as soon as you see that they are promoting the sale of gold. In that case, the paper silver market is going through more than just stress. The blood is pouring out. For a long time, the COMEX used naked shorts and leveraged contracts to control the price of silver. But that game is falling apart right now, in 2025. There has never been a bigger gap between signing a contract and actually delivering the goods. Every month, the price of registered silver on COMEX goes down, and there is no sign that demand from Asian countries and governments will slow down. We now know that the price discovery mechanism that futures trading is supposed to have is just that, a lie. Why? Things fall apart when people want real metal instead of empty promises. Prices in the physical market are going through the roof. More and more often, things are late. People don't trust COMEX to follow through on their promises anymore, which is the worst thing that could happen. You can't print real ounces of silver on the futures market, but you can print paper silver whenever you want. This is now known to major buyers. Eastern exchanges are getting a bigger share of the volume by creating their own price systems that are backed by real metal instead of leverage. And what happened? The West's grip on silver prices is slowly slipping away. We can see more than just market tension. The whole idea of money is falling apart. If the paper market keeps going down, silver won't just show up. It will easily go above resistance levels because there are no barriers in its way. The fact is that a lot of people own gold as a way to protect themselves from the instability of fiat currencies. If gold weren't for what many people do, this wouldn't be the case. They are busy with all kinds of social and economic problems. It's gotten worse if you were worried about that. So, you shouldn't cancel your insurance policy right now, especially if you got it at a lower price. But I've worked with people who bought gold, just in case it did better than stocks and bonds. In that case, a scale-up program would be a good use of money. Leave before it gets any worse. Listen up, I'm going to say this again. If we want to get above $5,000 in the next 12 to 24 months, things will have to get a lot worse, even though we're already getting close to 4. One thing that is making things worse is the huge amount of physical goods coming in from the East, especially China. When we Americans go out on the weekends, we spend our hard-earned money on real gold. 2/3 of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. So they are taking out loans to buy things they don't really need, but can't afford to buy when they go shopping on weekends. I think the Chinese will be much luckier than those people. Things are changing too. Also, ever since we started talking, I've been going back to an old reliable source of thought. The BRICS will never get over all the predictions that they would fall apart earlier this year. Trump will break their knees. Here's something you might not know. How far have real trade deals gone? How many have been finished, signed, and put into effect with Trump's approval? You will need more than one hand to count them. People outside of the US are starting to notice the de-dollarization trend, which is another reason why people are buying gold. People are losing faith in the United States and its money system more and more every day. Some foreign groups, especially in Asia, are open to looking into other ways to trade and use money that don't involve the US. The silver market has never seen anything like the buying frenzy in Asia right now, so keep an eye out. For the Chinese, gold and silver are a part of their daily lives. For a lot of people, they stand for cultural safety, prosperity, and stability in times of trouble. Chinese buyers are shocking Western analysts by how quickly they are turning their yuan into real metal right now. We aren't just talking about institutions and central banks. Bullion counters and jewelry stores are running out of stock because so many people are coming in and out. This means that lines on the weekends go all the way around city blocks. People will buy silver eagles, kilo bars, and coins if they are real. And it's not just China either. The story is the same all over Southeast Asia and the rest of the Far East. Central banks and individual investors are both buying up precious metals, and they're doing it outside of the usual Wall Street financial system. The markets in the East are now very active. They set the prices. The Shanghai Gold Exchange is doing well, and the demand for physical delivery is never ending. Premiums in Asian markets are always higher than in the West. This kind of trading isn't based on guesswork. People who don't trust paper claims and fiat currencies are systematically building up hard assets. Western stores have run out of silver, which shows how little there is at the current prices. This increase in demand is putting even more strain on the already fragile global supply chain. If this trend keeps going without showing any signs of slowing down, the pressure on prices will eventually become too much to handle. There are buyers in the East, bleeding in the West, and COMEX is about to go out of business. In the US, where I can only speak for Elijah, we've done this without the help of investors, which is unusual. We still get 5 to 15 new leads every week, and less than 2% of them have 1% gold in them. Even though I have my own planning group, this is still the case. So, unlike with stocks or technology, this hasn't become the reason it's going up. It's because so many people are interested. But what if they really do start to take part? That is the question that comes next. Do you happen to know the exact number? You will have to trust that it will cost a lot more in the long run. At this point, though, it is still a great accomplishment. Also, at this very moment, 2 different people own gold. I am also both, and have been both. If selling their gold would make them feel bad about themselves socially, economically, or politically, they should never do it. You should be happy that you got insurance for a lot less money. If you're worried about how it will affect society, politics, and the economy, what is stopping you from buying any? If you put in between $1,300 and $2,000 with the goal of making money, you should think about selling some of your holdings when you start to see gains of 10% or more. So, everyone is different. For instance, I put out these so-called model portfolios, but I'm not a big fan of them. Every marriage is different, just like every person. That's why I've never liked them. I do think that, all things considered, for people like you and your organization who have been committed to owning gold, I released some numbers today that show gold has gone up 4 times compared to the Dow. It has gone up 4 times since the year 2000. Why haven't we owned the best investment for the last 25 years? I asked the 99% of people who don't own gold to ask their financial advisor that. In my opinion, that is the question that needs to be answered. We just got our official Silver News Daily Telegram, so we'll be back in a minute. To start things off, there will be a 10-ounce silver giveaway. That's right, silver as metal, not as a voucher or digital credit. This telegraph will now have real-time conversations about the silver market, collecting recommendations and other topics related to precious metals. There is where the heart of the community is. The rules for winning the 10-ounce. The rules for the silver prize are as follows. You can find Silver News Daily on YouTube and subscribe to it. To enter the 10-ounce giveaway, ring the bell and leave a comment on 3 different videos. Join the Telegram group and say hello. If we get 500 active Telegram subscribers, we'll send 10 ounces of silver to 1 lucky winner. Get up early and get moving. At this point, $50 is the only thing that matters. That level has been the same for silver since its quick rise in 2011. We are right now hovering, grinding, and putting pressure on things.